Alhaji Ibrahim Masari, a close associate of Tinubu and a placeholder before the choice of Senator Kashim Shettima as vice presidential candidate of the APC, yesterday confirmed talks between presidential candidates of the All Progressive Congress APC, Senator Bola, Tinubu, and Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State, saying the latter has agreed to work for the success of the former in 2023. It will be recalled that the APC presidential candidate met with the Rivers State governor and some PDP governors, including Governor Seyi Makinde of Oyo State and his Abia state counterpart, Dr. Okezie, Ikpeazu, and other PDP stalwarts loyal to Wike in London on Monday night. Well, joining us to discuss this is Katch Onunuju. He's a political scientist. Thank you so much, Mr. Onunuju, for joining. Always a pleasure to have you here.
For having me.
All right.
It's good to be here.
Great. So let's get straight to it. A lot is happening within the PDP, especially with Governor Wike's name all written all over it. And one would wonder what exactly is going on. First, the PDP, the Wike followership is asking for the chairman of the party to step down. And of course, we've seen that call being backed by Chief Bode George and several other people saying for fairness and equity. Again, there's still this ongoing battle and drag between Governor Wike and the presidential flag bearer. What are your thoughts on Governor Wike's positioning and his body language so far?
Well, I think first and foremost, you're making a mistake. It's not Governor Wike. It is a caucus of the party with the Southern Coalition. The Southern Caucus of the PDP are making demands. And these demands go from well before the primary. The Southern Caucus believes that foundationally zoning is in the constitution of the party. They insisted that the zoning should be followed. Well, most Northern members refused. And then what you now see is, after 7 years of President Buhari's presidency, members from the same region as President Buhari have connived to seize the presidential ticket. And that's why the caucus of the South is asking for guarantees of a single term written into paper in the way it was told the whole country by Chief Dokpesi, and of course, a demand that the chairman, Mr. Ayosha, step down in line with his promise that should a northerner emerge, that he is willing to step down. So the members of the party from the Southern Caucus are demanding from the Northern Caucus that the Southerners be seen to be members of the party. You cannot hold the presidential ticket, the chairman of the BOT, the chairman of the party itself, the chairman of the Governors Forum, everything is now slanted to the north. So if it is a party that does not have any kind of appreciation system or for the members, then there is no need. When you're working for an organization without a properly designed reward system, there is no reward for the Southerners for being members of the party, apart from some playing ship. That will not happen. So it is not weak. The Southern Caucus of the PDP are making demands. And as you rightly pointed out, there are several individuals and governors that are with Governor Wike's position. So right now, I think we must blame the Northern Caucus for the sudden implosion the party has come into, which seems doesn't have any way for us to resolve. I foresee a repeat of the 2015 crisis arising from disagreements due to zoning. The PDP didn't survive it in 2015. I think we are headed towards a repetition of history in 2023 in regarding to the internal disagreements in the PDP arising from the issue of zoning.
Talking about this issue of zoning, one would say that this is something that's playing out in both major political parties today, and one would say this is the mistake that these two major political parties are making, causing the parties to be more of zonal parties as opposed to national parties. But let's move away from that and talk about Governor Wike as a person. Many have actually criticized the recent moves that Governor Wike has been making. He's received the Labour Party candidates a couple of times in River State, and now he's in Lagos with him, he's in London with him, and the former President Olusegun Obasanjo. He's also been seen with the likes of Kwankwaso, and of course, reportedly been seen meeting with the APC presidential candidates, even though Governor Masari has come out to also make a statement of sorts that he will be working for the APC. As an insider looking at all of these things play out, even though I know that you also fall in the category of the Southern Caucus, I'm wondering, the route that Governor Wike is taking, would you say that he's making the right moves, or what does his body language tell you?
Well, what it tells you is very simple. Members of the Southern Caucus do have options. We are no slaves in the PDP. The crisis you're seeing right now is a replication of the 2015 crisis. You have fundamental constitutional part of the party laws being on zoning. After 8 years of President Buhari's presidency, which was brought about by members of the NPDP who formed coalition with other political groups in the country and bettered the Buhari presidency. After 8 years of Buhari's presidency, the national political clock normally will go to the south. So you are wrong to be calling it Governor Wike. It's not a Governor Wike's problem. Governor Wike is the leader of the Southern Caucus. And what they said earlier was they wanted a president from the south because we run a representative democracy.
But Governor Wike did not win the presidential primaries. Yes, you wanted a president from the south, but the southern votes were not enough, were they, to give you that presidency? Governor Wike came second behind Atiku Abubakar, so that's something that we have already discussed. So now that the South could not get its president, you do have a Governor Okowa as a vice presidential candidate. Or could he have rather been a Governor Wike? So I'm asking now, if Governor Wike were to be given that position, would he have calmed the frayed nerves that we have now who are going on rampage within the party?
I don't know. The Southerners had a lot of demands, and amongst them is equity, fairness, and justice in the party. So it's wrong to also bring up such conjecture of what will happen if Wike had gotten or had been vice presidential. No, Governor Okowa is on his own. He's a lone wolf. Is what you would call a rogue agent.
What does that mean?
Acting on behalf of the South. So the Southern Caucus are now making demands. It's wrong when you keep calling Governor Wike. You're playing the same game Sule Lamido is playing. Same game, Babangida Aliyu and Atiku and Co. No, the Southern Caucus are making demands. If you continue to particularize it to Governor Wike, that particularization will get you to miscalculate the Southern Caucus right now. Now that we have seen that the balance have been undermined, that's why you're seeing faith choice like President Obasanjo, Governor Wike, and others who are with him, all now speaking to everybody. Of course, they spoke yesterday to a group in which Governor Masari was part of before presidential candidate Tinubu had traveled to Port Harcourt, and of course, the candidate of the Labour Party, Governor P2B, had also met the Wike group. And President Obasanjo, who seems to be the leader of the Governor P2B campaign, has also met with the Wike group. So there is in Nigeria a strategy to make sure the next president becomes a southerner. That's why I think the implosion of the PDP is not going to get killed very soon. There is no urgency or purpose in the PDP to have the crisis resolved. And that's why, out of frustration, today, candidate Abubakar Atiku took the plane to go to London to see if he could meet Governor Wike there and try to beg for his case. I do not see the implosion of the PDP getting repaired anytime soon. No. There are a lot of battles taking place. There is a struggle for control of the soul of the party, and that was the reason why Mr. Ayu has been asked to step down. He started asking questions about tenure. And of course, you've seen people like the BOT chairman of the PDP, multi-speaking and double-speaking, and saying things with no coherence. So I foresee the PDP not being able to manage its crisis, and of course, Wike's group showing the country and the world that they do have options. And that showing that they have options is what you are trying to discuss. They can work with P2B group, led by President Obasanjo. They could also listen to what Governor Ganduje and Governor Masari and candidate Bola Tinubu have to say. So I think it's a very interesting time in Nigerian politics. It's all very good. It keeps all of us on the edge of our seats. And we continue to watch and follow it. The drama will not end anytime soon. I believe it's quite healthy for the political process.
It sounds all like a political soap opera to me, but let's go back to the core of this problem. You made mention severally of the fact that this might be a repeat, if this might be a repeat, if this is something that has continued to happen within the PDP, why has the party and the board, the BOT, the core members of this party not learned from a mistake, especially for a 2023 election that is as urgent, as important, as keenly contested as it is? Why do you think the party has failed to learn from the mistakes of the past?
Yes, the party failed to learn. And don't also forget the people responsible for the internal implosion were members of the MPDP who, because they were disappointed by President Buhari, who promised them he would do a single term and then give to them, but then he continued to another term. And that's what forced them from the APC into the PDP. And all they had were a simple, selfish campaign to seize the ticket. They have, through their machinations, gotten the ticket. And what you're now seeing is a resultant reaction, the implosion that seemed to mimic 2015, when the Northerners, led by Atiku, felt and shouted that President Goodluck Jonathan should not run again, having completed the Yaradua term and done his own fourth term. So if the Southerners also feel that the Northerners shouldn't run after Buhari's 8 years, it simply tells you the same blood that runs in the Southerner also runs in the Northerner. So the same behavioral reactions being perpetuated today as were done in 2014 simply tells you we are dealing with a dynamic human society. I think the PDP is imperiled by not having learned from its past history. So repeating its past mistake means it will harvest its past experience. And I think that's where we're heading to. And that's the reasons why the implosion should be politely understood as a repetition of something that happened before in the PDP 2014 and 2015. There is nothing new that we've not seen before.
What I hear mostly from what you're saying, what I gather, is that this might be a regional fight within a party. But let's talk about solutions here. I always like to, look for the light at the end of the tunnel, if there be any, in the case of the PDP. What would be the possibilities or the realities that can be brought to the table, or solutions, if for want of a better word, that would fray these nerves, that would calm these already frayed nerves, I beg your pardon. What can the party do? What can the BOT do? What can Atiku, the candidate himself? Because I don't know, flying to London to see Wike and all the others who are with him on that trip, I'm wondering, what will that solve? But what would you think, as one who seems to be part of those who are in the category of people who seem to be unhappy with what's happening in the party? What needs to be done? What can be done between now and, of course, before elections to ensure that the PDP could get ahead in the polls?
I don't see anything being done. This is a national issue. It has a lot of emotions tied to it. You have millions of people who feel that they were cheated by desperate machinations brought about by northern members of the PDP, who should have understood that the national political clock has given them 8 years served by President Buhari's double tenure. I think the lesson to be learned from here for all Nigerians is that we should respect the national political clock. If he goes to the north and nothing adores it, no matter the vehicle used to achieve it, whether it is PDP, the Labour Party, or the APC, after that 8 years, it should come back to the other region, because we run a representative democracy. I believe we are seeing a repeat of the experiences of 2014, 2015. The Southerners do not feel anything that they are losing, because they believe it's their turn. So being able to buy delegates for them to give you vote is different from getting the diverse ethnicities of Nigeria to also behave like the delegates did. Like they said, okay, the delegates are giving you their vote. Go and get the delegate to vote for you. So I think we should respect the sharing principles. We should respect equity, justice, and fairness when we discuss about our representative democracy and the ways everybody can gain inclusion in our national day-to-day life.
Mr. Onunuju,
I think...
I'm sorry to speak over you, but quickly, let me just come in here. I heard you say that, these people who are aggrieved have options. Let's talk about those options. Does it mean that the Southern Coalition, including the Middle Belt, because I see them represented in that photograph, are up for bid to the highest bidder? In other words, whoever is, most comely to them can get them to work for them, I guess, as against the party. And that would be tantamount to anti-party activities, could it be?
No. If in 2015, the Northerners were in the PDP and still worked for Buhari, they just told you that the party was simply a vehicle. They weren't that loyal to the PDP, the party. So I don't expect you to also look towards the Southerners with a different eye. They are simply taking a page from the manual written by the Northerners in 2014, 2015. I don't see anything very different. These are pure human dealing. What we are seeing now, a repetition of the pictures we saw in 2015 and 2014. I think it's very human. I think it's very organic reactions. The one you should worry about is the youth rebellion. And that's actually where I think the party should look.
Okay. And finally, before I let you go, what does this say, or what does this mean for the candidate of your party, your presidential candidate? What does this mean for him, being that this might be his last window politically to run for this office?
Well, I think the candidate also has himself to blame. He shouldn't have gotten in the race in the first place. I think people say his inordinate ambition, coupled with the inordinate ambition of others like him from the north, is the beginning of all this crisis. If they had respected the zoning that was foundational at the constitutional in the party's books, I don't think that we'll be here today. If you had allowed the Southerners to slug it out, since after 8 years of Buhari, it was for the South. I think that should have just settled this issue. Oh, wow. I'm a member of the PDP, but I also recognize how emotional these issues are. As I tell you, the Southerners truly now say that there's nothing for them to gain in being loyal to a system that seems to change the goalpost when it came to their chance to shoot at the goalpost. Well, I think we should all learn from what's going on. We should stop pretending and making the same mistake like your station made. Okay. Calling Wike. It has nothing to do with Governor Wike. Okay. It's, as you've seen, a regional crisis. The Southerners believe it is their turn after 8 years of President Buhari.
Well, I want to say thank you. Katch Onunuju is a political scientist. Always a pleasure to have you join us on the conversation.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
It's good.
Thank you so much. Well, that's it on the show tonight. I'm Mary Ann Okon. Don't forget you can play catch up and watch all our episodes on our YouTube channel. Just go to PlusTvAfrica or PlusTvAfrica Lifestyle on YouTube. Subscribe and follow all our programs. I'll see you tomorrow. We'll talk more on development. Stay with us.